Hi everybody and welcome to the Flute Practice. My name is Tatiana and today we are going to be exploring part 3 of our practice series, which is performance practice. So let's go check it out. So first of all, for all of you who have done all the hard work, you've practiced, and now you are ready to perform your piece, I want to say a huge congratulations, guys. This is a very difficult journey and it is really not for sissies. So really well done for getting here. Before we get into how to practice performing, I would like to just kind of spend a few minutes talking about why this is so important. There's such a clear difference for me between practicing and just actually practicing and working a piece and then performing a piece. These things for me are really like night and day. They are totally different approaches, totally different strategies. And we really need to think carefully about how we're going to transition from this practicing, working, pulling apart, picking apart kind of process to this kind of letting go, opening up, shutting off that critical voice and just allowing ourselves to play the piece from beginning to end, whether there are mistakes or not. Because we spent so much time in that practice room really like grappling with the music, we have to practice that process of completely letting go. There are a couple of benefits to doing this. First of all, I think it's really important that we practice getting into a habit of playing through without stopping. So we're not stopping every time there's a wrong note or a mistake or something, where we're just kind of seeing what happens, seeing how we improvise in the moment or what we do when a problem arises and how we fix and handle that problem. It's really important for us to, number one, practice doing this, and number two, know that we can be secure in this, that actually, surprisingly, we make a plan. Our bodies, our hands, our everything, it kind of makes a plan in the moment. The other benefit of this is that we build up stamina. So we are learning to really be able to get all the way through the piece in kind of like a half decent condition. And we often realize like, oh my goodness, I'm giving like all my energy out right at the beginning of the piece and I actually need to conserve it for the end or for the middle or whatever it is. Often playing from beginning to end reveals to us where there still are little problems or difficulties where we're not quite secure. And sometimes these problems, when we isolate them and we play them on their own, they're easy to play and we can get them. But the second we kind of put them into the whole context of the piece, it becomes a problem again. So then we have to kind of start working and fixing and going back and just kind of taking note of those little problems. One of kind of the most beneficial things I think about performing is practicing an attitude. So we're practicing an attitude of kind of feeling confident. We're practicing an attitude of switching our critical voice off and making sure that we are not judging ourselves and being overly critical, and that when mistakes happen, we can kind of just put it aside and move on and think, that was interesting, but move on. As with everything in our practicing, this needs to be practiced as well. We need to practice in this attitude. So I really encourage you to go through this process. The easiest way to start this performing practice process is simply by practicing, in your room in front of maybe just a teddy bear, or imagining, I don't know, there's somebody there, or just imagining you have an audience to practice in front of. I think this is sometimes the easiest process to actually practice. Just because it's accessible, we can all do it. We just imagine there's an audience and we practice playing from the beginning of the piece all the way to the end of the piece in one go. If you want to kind of like step this up a little bit, I would really recommend practicing in front of a camera like this, or using a recording device and just recording yourself. Oh my word, my cat is literally being the cutest thing right now. He's pawing at me. He's like, I want your attention too. Baby, stop it. But for that matter, practice in front of your kitty cat. Come here. So this is my friend. Oh, he doesn't particularly love my flute playing, but every now and then, he sticks around. He's my one-eyed bandit, and he surely will appreciate my concert. I don't think he will. I think he'll run away. Hey, Sokkies. Hello, baby. If you can steal your family members or your friends away for a moment, put on a little show for them. Just sit them down for 5 minutes and, say, okay, I'm going to play for you. Or if you're even feeling brave, get your colleagues, get your classmates or your flute band members, or, other people that maybe know a little bit more about music, play in front of them. I love doing this because the pressure is on. It kind of steps up the pressure and we're feeling more nervous, and that is the goal. We want to start putting ourselves more and more into little pressure situations where we're feeling just a little bit nervous. So In the order I'm giving it to you now, I think is kind of a nice order to start practicing your performing. I think if you go straight to playing in front of your colleagues, you might be a little bit too nervous, and it might, kind of weaken your self-confidence rather than strengthen it. So once I've kind of played it in front of my friends, in front of some colleagues, perhaps I'll even play it in front of a teacher or some other teachers, or I'll really try and find performance situations where I can already start just performing this piece. So for example, maybe there's masterclasses happening where you can perform the piece in, or perhaps there is a little concert, a school concert, or perhaps you can even just put on a little house concert for friends. Always a lovely idea. You could also go to a nearby old age home, a children's home, a preschool, a play school. Maybe you can perform in your church. Maybe you can perform, in your town square, or I don't know. I'm making stuff up as I go, but try and find opportunities to perform your piece where you can just know that you're going to have to play it from beginning to end, and maybe you're going to be under just a little bit of pressure to see how you respond, to see how you react, because this is what you're looking out for. When you've performed your piece from the beginning to the end, you want to then only go back and think to yourself, what worked, what didn't work? Where did I still have little issues and problems? Where did I maybe lose concentration? Am I able to get through the whole thing in one piece, in one state, without being completely exhausted halfway through? A nice trick that one of my professors at university used to always say to us is try and play your piece from the beginning to the end, and then start it all over again without a break and see how far you can get. I think if you can get through your piece twice in a row, you can be very sure that your stamina is going to get you through once nicely. So this is a really nice way to build up that stamina, because that's really a huge part of what this is about, is building up stamina to be able to play the piece, preferably under a slightly nervous situation, so that in the concert you are dead sure and set to go. Now, often it doesn't feel like we're doing that much when we're actually performing this piece and we're performing in front of people, and we think like, why, what am I really doing? But it is incredible how when you are standing in that concert, just that extra bit of knowledge that I have played this thing through several times in the last couple of days, weeks, whatever it is, and I know that I can do it. Just that knowledge for me is very reassuring, and it really goes a long way, a lot further than I think we even realize. I find this particularly important when you're playing from memory. Performing from memory really needs to be practiced, and it needs to be practiced in front of people in a nervous situation. It reveals where your memory problems still are and where your little gaps are, and it shows you how you respond under those pressure situations, and can be incredibly reassuring if you feel like you're uncertain about your memory and you play it through and you realize, hey, I know this a lot better than I thought I did. This isn't a complicated process, really. It requires basically just an opportunity to play it, the right mindset to play it from beginning to end without stopping in any way, and then going back afterwards and analyzing what you've done. That's all it is. For the analysis purposes, I think recording yourself or filming yourself is so great and so important. So if you can do this, if you can be brave enough to put on that camera and record yourself, I'd really encourage this. If any of you are feeling brave and you would like to practice performing, you are welcome to upload a video onto my Facebook page for all of us to see, and then maybe we can give you some lovely constructive comments and help. Maybe it's really just, you'll be like, hey, wow, look at this, I can do it. If you are not brave enough to upload your video, maybe you just want to go check out our Facebook page, give it a nice like. Remember to stay tuned. Next week we are doing a really exciting kind of tying all of this stuff together. We're looking at the macro structure of your practicing and how to really organize it, what sections you should have in your daily practice, how much time or emphasis you should give to each of those sections. So stay tuned for that, because I think it is going to change the way that you practice. Until then, everybody, happy practicing and see you next time. First, kind of, kitty cat. Lost the little problems. Hello, baby. That's my kitty cat. You can't come interrupt now. We're busy. Hello. Sokkies in South Africa means little sock, like a baby sock. Hey, Bubba. Okay, you are literally being a nuisance right now. You know that? Yeah, you know that.